Good morning, everybody. Today is the 21st of February, 2023. My name's Larry Jacobs. This is Pre-K12 Education Talk Radio, and thanks so much for tuning in. We appreciate it, and we're going to get some good information out to you today. We've got Dr. Evelyn Johnson here. Evelyn is the VP of Research and Development at a wonderful company, old friends of mine, Aperture Education, big in the SEL field. Okay, and they are one of the they are one of the leading social emotional learning firms and one of the SEL assessment firms, one of the best in the country. And they're home of the DESA, which is the Devereaux style assessment suite. Okay, for when this get the right words out for SEL. So we're going to talk to Evelyn a lot about that, and we're going to talk to her about what she did before she worked at Aperture and all that sort of stuff. We're going to archive the show over at ace-ed.org. And that's the home website, of our American Consortium for Equity in Education. And we invite you to join with us over there. Of course, that's free. Everything we do over there is free. That includes a subscription to our journal, which is called Equity and Access. Pre-K12, our online journal. You can see it over there at ace-ed.org, along with our website, SEL Today, which is linked, and also our newest site, which is Teacher Retention, teacher-retention.com. You can check it all out. Every podcast we do is archived over there as well, and we'd love to have you join with us at ace-ed.org, and I hope you take me up on that, and I hope you go over and click through on the magazine cover and read a wonderful issue where we really honored all our Equity Award winners all through the country, your colleagues in education, pre-K12, as well as a lot of companies out there, et cetera, et cetera. Again, all at ace-ed.org. And enough of me blabbing, let's bring on Evelyn. Hello, Dr. Johnson. How are you this morning? It's Larry here.
Hey, Larry. I'm doing well, thanks. How are you?
I'm fine, as a matter of fact. I noticed the 208 area code. Are you in Idaho?
I am in Idaho. I'm in Boise.
Good for you. And thank you, by the way, for getting up so early. It's 7 in the morning out there, and I do appreciate you doing it so early in the morning, Evelyn. I do. Got that cup of coffee next to you?
I do.
Good enough.
No problem. I'm a morning
way,
person, so I'm good.
I appreciate it. And are you guys getting bad weather? I keep hearing about this insane storm traveling across the country. How's the weather out there?
No, it's not bad. In fact, yesterday was like our first sign of spring. It was got up into the 50s. Lots of people were outside. It was good. Yeah.
Okay, good. I hope that stays the whole time. Were there robins? Did you see robins on the front lawn?
Yes.
There you go. Spring is here in Boise,
That's
Idaho.
Right.
Good enough. Evelyn, I know you're VP of Research and Development over at Aperture. By the way, before we get, I want to thank Dave Hunt, your friend and your colleague, for putting this show together. Thanks, Dave. Okay, we'll talk again soon. Okay, Evelyn, what did you do before you were at Aperture? You got a PhD, I might add, which is cool.
Yeah, thank you. I've been with Aperture for about 18 months now, and prior to that, I was a professor of early and special education at Boise State University for 15 years, and then as part of my work there, I also was the CEO of a research and service center called Lee Pesky Learning Center. We provided support services to students with learning and attention challenges.
Wow, what a great background. That's fantastic, Professor. Home of the blue football field, right?
That's right, yeah. Go Broncos.
Which actually drives me crazy. I have trouble watching their games on TV because of the bluegrass. And that's literally bluegrass, not like Kentucky bluegrass. It's literally bluegrass. Drives me nuts.
Yeah.
How about you, Evelyn?
Yeah, well, you'll just need to come out to Boise and watch the game live then. But our blue turf is actually trademarked, so nobody else can have that color blue. So. Well,
and is it literally? I have to ask you this, Professor. Is it literally grass that is blue, or do they paint it? That I don't know.
No, it's blue turf.
Wow.
So
very impressive.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's incredible. Well, thank you for being a professor of special ed. We need more and more special ed teachers. Actually, before we get into Aperture, I'll ask you, what's the word on special ed? Are you getting? And I know you're retired from there now, but was there enough in the pipeline? Enough people coming through in special ed?
No, there never is. There's such a need for teachers with that specialization. Not just in Idaho. I think it's a nationwide need. Yeah.
Well, thanks for doing that for so long, because it's so important. That work is so important. I'm sure you know CASE, the Council of Administrators of Special Education, and CEC, and we work very closely with them here. And we just got to get more people into that field. It's just so hard. It's hard to get teachers, and this is a very special kind of teacher with the patience of saints, I might add. Okay, and I just wish we'd get more and more of them, and I hope we do. Okay. On that note, the need for special ed is getting greater and greater, and you probably know a lot about this. Everybody's been reading. This is all social emotional learning type stuff, okay? But it affects the entire school is what I'm driving at here. There are big articles over the last few weeks, but we all know it's been going on about the amount of depression out there among teenagers, okay, particularly young ladies, okay? And I'm just curious, what are you, as an expert in the field, what are you hearing about the rates of anxiety, depression, etc., and how that affects what you do now with Aperture and social emotional learning? And I mean, that's obvious, but I want to hear you articulate it, please.
Sure. Yeah, the Center for Disease Control, among other organizations, have been doing a lot of investigation into rates of mental health disorder, primarily anxiety and depression, and reported just recently that somewhere around more than 4 in 10 of students have reported over the last year some form of mental health concern, yes. And about a third of those poor mental health. And what's even more alarming is that again, the Center for Disease Control reported more than 1 in 5 students in just last year considered suicide. So it's definitely, it's a very significant problem, and certainly exacerbated by the pandemic and those long stretches of isolation, but also doesn't seem to be getting a lot better now that we're on the other side of the pandemic.
And I have to ask, and I work a lot, you probably know them, the Cook Center down in Utah, okay, which really delves into teen suicide, okay, Ann Brown and Mark Welling and my friends down there, okay, and being a name dropper, I had to give them a little credit down there, okay, Mark and I show people that I know everybody down there, okay, but, I'm curious, this is a weird question, but you may be able to help me with this. Why has suicide become so, this is the dumbest word I've ever used, popular with kids? When you and I, and I'm much older than you, believe me, there weren't people talking about suicide, okay? It just wasn't, it just wasn't there. There probably was, but it wasn't widespread. Why has it become such a thing in the last 10 years? What's going on? Do you have any idea? I don't have the answer for sure. There's a lot of different theories as to why students are struggling so much. So just over the weekend, in fact, there was an article in the Atlantic that talked about lots of different factors. Of course, increased use of social media, especially for girls, is definitely it definitely emerges across, no matter what source you look at, definitely emerges as a source of concern. Again, all of the stress that came with the pandemic, whether that was not being able to interact with peers or whether, students, families were impacted by loss of job, by loss of loved ones. And then, the focus, or maybe you only stay on positive sites, but it's easy to get pulled into doom scrolling, right? And staying focused
on the negative aspects happening in the world, and I think students can feel a real loss of control and maybe a lack of connection. And, so a variety of factors just come together and unfortunately can lead students to feel like there is no other choice.
And I never heard that phrase before. I think you just said doom scrolling. Did I just hear that?
Yeah.
Wow,
when you get pulled
phrase.
in. Oh, yeah, when you get pulled in on your phone and just bad story after bad story after problem after problem. Lots of people are also focused on or have talked about the impact of things like climate change and all of the negative things happening in the world. And since it's so much easier these days to get information on those kinds of things, students are more aware, and because most of the news has a slant towards reporting negative, right? You can start to feel like, what's my life going to be like with all of these problems facing me?
So all that said, and it's a sad but incredible segue into what you guys do at Aperture, which is apertureud.com. Okay, and good friends of mine, by the way, Jessica and Chris. We go back a long way on that. Okay, and we really do. And of course, Dave is a new friend over there. More name dropping, Evelyn. I'm going to drop your name on future shows, by the way.
I love it. Great.
I know all these people. It's fun to talk about them and bring up their names and say hi to them. Okay, into the microphone, etc. But it brings up. And I think everybody realizes this, and Aperture is one of the leaders in the field. I do know that. Okay, it brings up, the whole idea of social emotional learning and how this has fallen onto the schools where kids spend a good deal of their time. All right, and with the higher rates of anxiety, with the higher rates of depression, with fewer and fewer people in the mental health field accessible. Okay, now I know a lot of there's teletherapy and all that sort of stuff, and I think that's great. Okay, but it's hard to find the professionals that do this, which means that SEL has to, in my opinion, has to play more of a part from the get-go in schools. I'm sure you agree. Okay, and just talk about that, just how SEL fits in from the very beginning. It's not that it can't be something that's extra anymore. It's got to be part and parcel of the school climate, the school community. That's where I think it belongs. Dr. Johnson, your thoughts? And you're smarter than me, by the way.
I don't know you. That was a great introduction to the topic because you're exactly right. We started here a few minutes ago talking about the need for more special education professionals. We also have significant shortages of school psychologists and school counselors. So to your point, absolutely, there are just simply not enough mental health professionals to adequately serve all of the students who need support. And that's why preventive measures like social emotional learning are so critical to really helping young people feel connected, feel a sense of belonging, and really feel that they're a part of something, right? So to help them develop positive relationships, whether that's with a teacher or with their classmates. Those efforts can really go a long way towards creating what are called protective factors for students who are struggling, right? What we know from just decades of research that when young people have even just one strong relationship with an adult or a classmate, that can do so much to help offset any of the challenges or risks that they may experience in other ways.
That's good. By the way, I hear your dog barking in the background.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No. Dogs are always invited on Education Talk Radio. Okay? Always. Okay? What's the dog's name?
Siggy.
What is it?
It's breakfast time. Siggy.
Siggy. Give Siggy a cookie and tell him it's from Uncle Larry.
Okay.
That's what you have to do.
Will do.
Okay, good. Okay, the dogs are always invited. Okay, don't even think twice about it. Hi, Siggy. I love you, buddy. Okay, all right. They're a good social emotional dog, I got to tell you. Okay, excellent. All right. You know, you said two words that really struck me. You said preventative and proactive. Okay, and that's what we have to be. This is, you know, this is something that has to start from the get-go if we're going to save this situation. Okay, we have to be very proactive and we have to be very preventative. Now, we're going to talk about assessment of SEL a little later, but my question is, and this is a good, you are perfect for this. You're working for a terrific company at Aperture, okay, and you're a special ed professor, okay, and with this, the whole thing of SEL has fallen on every single teacher who, very few of them, and maybe you can comment on Boise State, really are trained in anything even close to this. An English teacher, a history teacher, a science teacher, an elementary teacher, they're barely trained, okay, on the social emotional needs. And I hope I'm wrong at Boise State. I don't know if I am. Okay, they're barely trained on how to handle this. We talk about whole child, but that's something different. There's heavy duty stuff out there. How are we doing? And this is going to lead into Aperture. How are we doing on training teachers to understand? Now, I'm not talking about professional development. I'm talking about in their college years. Are we training teachers to understand social emotional needs and how the school fits into this? And I worry that we don't. Your thoughts, Evelyn?
Yeah, your worry is well-founded, unfortunately.
Thanks, Al. That's not good, but thank you. Thanks, Professor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, you keep saying I'm smarter than you, but I don't think that's
you
true.
Are.
But anyway, no, unfortunately, teacher preparation programs really haven't caught up to the need yet to help teachers or people training to become teachers really understand what they need to in order to integrate social emotional learning practices in their classroom. And the truth is that, it doesn't take a lot to make a positive difference. For example, there's lots of research to show the positive impact of implementing social emotional programs in the classroom, but there's even some emerging research now that shows that like very simple low lift practices, things like standing at your door every day and greeting each of your students as they come in, can make just profound differences in the levels of students' engagement. And because then they have higher levels of engagement, they end up learning more and doing better in school. And it's such a simple thing, but if you think about it, what it signals, right, is that I'm taking the time to stand at the door. I am waiting for you. I am here for you. I see you when you come in, and I'm glad that you're here. All of that is conveyed by that simple act. And if we can help more teachers understand that importance of, creating those kinds of positive learning environments for their students and then give them the tools to do it every day, we'd be a lot better off. So, I'm hopeful that universities are starting to integrate more and more of this. And, we're certainly trying to put together more professional learning opportunities and so that once they're in the classroom, they at least have access to the tools and resources that they need.
Exactly. And, it's kind of the way I always look at it, it's like a medical school. They depended on the stethoscope industry to teach a doctor how to use a stethoscope. Okay? What has to happen is this has to be part and parcel of teacher training for every single teacher. Okay, we do depend on companies like Aperture and the others in the SEL field. You guys all work with Castle, et cetera, in the Castle framework. Okay, the industry is dependent, okay, on that kind of those companies, which shows that how important the industry is. Those companies, okay, and professional development through those companies and experts like you, okay, that will hopefully teach teachers, but they're already in the classroom. We got to get this gone in teacher education. And what I suggest, are you at Boise State now at all? Around the corner from you, Bluegrass?
I'm a professor emeritus at Boise State. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And by the way, that's bad. Emeritus means retired. It means old. Okay. Sorry about that. It's Latin. I know Latin. Okay. You deserve to be professor emeritus. Okay. Well, as professor emeritus, then you still have parking privileges and all that. Buy a wiffle ball bat and go over to your old education department, the regular education professors, start hitting them on the head till they start to include SEL and all that stuff into teacher training. We start there. Is that a good idea? Perhaps a little fun.
Fabulous idea.
Yeah,
Fabulous idea.
Just a thought.
Yeah.
Just a thought. Okay. And this is really cool. Now, you're a professor, okay? And I know some professors who don't even know there's an industry out there, an education industry, which is amazing. Okay? You're now in the industry. Congratulations. Welcome to the education industry. You're VP of Research and Development at Aperture Education. Okay? So let's just get into it. What's new with research and development? What are the next steps? Where are we on SEL? And brag a little bit about what Aperture's doing.
Yeah. We continue to learn a lot more about social emotional learning every day. There's already a very strong evidence base, right? As I've mentioned already, that shows that when social emotional learning programs are well implemented in the schools, students have better outcomes, teachers have more job satisfaction and also a greater sense of well-being. So we know a lot about the importance of effective social emotional learning, and now where the research is really headed is to break down exactly what that means, right? So for a long time now we've been focused. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. My mic went dead for a second. Okay. I'm just writing down when you said that teacher job satisfaction. There are in Idaho and every other state. I live in Maine, by the way. Every state is having trouble either A, retaining or B, recruiting teachers. We can't lose any teachers. Okay?
No.
And there's a lot of SEL stress out there, or social emotional stress out there, not only among the kids, but also among the teachers. And so SEL becomes part of a good school district teacher retention plan. Okay, if you get the kids calmer, and of course the teachers will benefit from it too, and they will learn as they learn about SEL, what it works, get more satisfaction. It's going to help the job retention thing. That's a key factor out there right now.
Absolutely. I mean, and again, if you think about it, if you are empowered as a teacher to better understand how people develop social emotional competence and the role that you can play in helping students do that, you'll also then better understand how you develop those skills, right? So, so at our company, for example, we have a program called EdCert, and it's a program exclusively for teachers that helps them under EdCert,
like SEARCH. Yeah, got it. Okay.
And the focus of that program is really on helping teachers understand the various social emotional competencies like self-awareness, self-management, relationships, goal-directed behavior, and the things that they can do as professionals to help develop those skills for themselves, as well as the things that they can do in their classrooms to help students develop those competencies. And the idea behind EdCert and all social emotional professional development really is to help teachers understand those competencies, because it's not just here, it's not just handing over a program and say, here, do this. It's really helping to draw attention to how we can interact and respond to students' different needs, how we can, again, create those positive learning environments. And when teachers are better equipped to do that, it starts to become a seamless part of their day.
It has to, you just said the right word. All of this has to become seamless. Okay, It's just got to be part and parcel of the training and the daily life of an educator. Okay, and of the kids and of the schools, etc. Which brings me to here's a good research question: do the superintendents or the administrators at school districts, of which there are 12,000 school districts, okay, do they understand how important SEL is for teacher retention, for the teachers, not just for the kids, but for the teachers? What do you think, Evelyn? Do they get it?
I mean, a lot of them do, yes. A lot of them do. And we know that. Yeah, there's just been an increased focus. In fact, I think it was Ed Week that just released a survey that showed that superintendents and school building leaders are really starting to understand the need to focus more on teacher well-being and adult social-emotional learning. So yes, maybe not all of them, but certainly a growing number of superintendents and principals are really starting to understand why they need to focus on teacher well-being as well.
It's just so important, and I'm glad they're starting to realize that they should have realized it 10 years ago, and hopefully this will all come together. I want to ask you this, and I don't know, and I say here's where you're really going to be smarter than me. You guys, we always talk about SEL, all right, and you guys have programs. Let's use Aperture. You guys have all kinds of programs to teach you SEL. But you also have something, which is an acronym, thank you for another acronym, called DESSA, okay, DESSA. That's what education needs, yet another acronym, okay, which stands for, I had to look this up, Devereaux Student Strength Assessment. Devereaux Student Strength Assessment, a measure of social emotional competencies of children in kindergarten through 8th grade. Okay, can you talk about that and tell me what that is, and tell the world what that is? Is that proprietary to Aperture? I don't even know. I know you guys are pushing it. Talk about it. You must know.
Yeah. So. Aperture Education is the home of the DESSA.
Okay. It's proprietary.
The DESSA is a strength-based assessment that was authored by Paul LaBeouf and Jack Naglieri and Val Shapiro. And it really has its roots in what's called resilience theory. So again, going back to this notion of if we can help students develop these protective factors, of which positive social and emotional skills are definitely one, then they will be better equipped to navigate challenges and offset risks in their lives, and to develop stronger social emotional competence and be more successful. So the DESSA now has lots of different forms that have been really developed to help schools and districts that are interested in what we call a data-driven approach to social emotional learning, and to really operating their social emotional learning programs through, here's more acronyms, an MTSS, or a multi-tiered system of support framework.
Multi-tiered student supports. I know that one.
I know.
Wait, I got to ask you this. You mentioned all the names, and I'm not an expert on educational psychology. Who's Devereaux? What's the Devereaux part of this? You know that. I don't know that.
So the DESSA was developed when at the Devereaux Center for Resilient Children. It's a nonprofit organization in Pennsylvania. And then that's where the DESSA was, you're welcome, where the DESSA was created. And then because of its widespread and growing use, then it was initially sort of spun off out of the Devereaux Center into a company called Aperture, which then evolved into Aperture Education. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Got it. Okay. Because Aperture, by the way, grew out of Aperture. Okay,
exactly.
I don't know if everybody knows that. Okay, but I didn't know where the Devereaux came from. Where was it in Pennsylvania? That's where I'm from. Do you know? Say West Philly. That's where I'm from.
Sure, West Philly. That's not actually true. It's over near King of Prussia. Is
close enough. That's only 20 minutes from where I grew up. That's okay.
Okay.
That's okay. Okay. I know King of Prussia quite well. Right by Valley Forge, everybody. In case you didn't know where King of Prussia is. Okay, there is a town called King of Prussia, and the reason it's called that is because the King of Prussia with the Hessians and all that sort of stuff. Okay, I assume something like that. Okay, the old history goes. Okay, in the Philadelphia area. I have another question. Okay, we're real concerned about teenage girls, but and I have to ask you this: why does the DESA only measure K8? What happens 9-12? Is there a way to measure that, or are we too late to measure it? Is maybe a way to say it. Evelyn.
Oh, no, we're certainly not too late. And there's actually a high school version of the DESA.
Oh,
so,
good.
It was originally developed for students in kindergarten through 8th grade, and then,
right.
quickly recognized the need for a high school edition. And so we have a high school version that both teachers can complete, but we also have a student self-report version of the DESA for high school students. And starting next school year, we'll have a version for middle school students as well. And a reason for that, there's a couple of reasons for that, right? First and foremost is
I can scroll down far enough. Wait a minute. Coming soon, DESA manuals for 9-12 over at Aperture ED. Thank you. Okay, continue. I didn't scroll down far enough. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so, when you give students agency and voice in the social emotional learning process, it really helps them engage in their own social emotional development. And so the student self-report is an important component of that. It also, pragmatically, it also helps save teachers time. If you think about it at middle and high school, teachers no longer just have like one class of kids, right? They have like 5 classes of 30 kids. So it's a lot of assessment. And so when we can have students report on their own social emotional learning, get good data and information to their teachers and principals, it's a lot more efficient system.
It really is. And I again apologize. I didn't scroll down far enough on the page. Okay, to see that the DESA manuals for 9-12 are coming. Again, everybody, it's Aperture ED. What's that double E at the end? ApertureED.com. Oh, I have one last question for you as we wind down here, Evelyn. Okay? Are special ed teachers the best teachers to teach SEL, social emotional learning? You're an expert in special ed, and you also are an expert in SEL. Okay? And we always hear about the generic teacher doing the SEL, and I never hear much, okay, about the special ed teacher really mainstreaming into the school and really being the point person for SEL. How's that fit, Doctor?
Yeah, it's a great question. I don't know that special ed teachers would be the lead for SEL. I think every teacher is the lead SEL teacher for the students that they serve, and special education teachers are certainly part of that.
They are. I said, they're all going to heaven. By the way, did you know that? You're going to heaven. All special ed teachers go to heaven. Them and school librarians.
I'm so glad to hear that. I got my start in the education field as a special education teacher. Yeah. There
you go. And by the way, Ziggy will also be going to dog heaven with you there. Okay. But not without his morning cookie. Okay. So there you go. There's living proof that all this works. Evelyn, this was a joy to have you on the show today. Thank you for this. Your insights are terrific. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, okay. It was my pleasure.
And think it's now 7:35. Your whole day is ahead of you out there. Is that wonderful or what? Good weather.
That's right. Yeah.
There you go. So have fun in a terrific state. I have to say this, from the other potato state. I live in Maine. We have the two. Okay, we have the two potato states talking today.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So everybody buy Maine potatoes. There you have it. Okay, no, I'm only kidding. You can buy Idaho potatoes too. Okay, I don't care. Evelyn, thanks a million. This was great. I hope you come back on. Thank you.
Thank you.
You take care. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye. That was great. She's great. That's Dr. Evelyn Johnson, who's the VP of Research and Development at my good friends Aperture Education, which is ApertureED.com, and just watch that double E, ApertureED.com. All right, It was great. Buy your potatoes. I was only kidding. Buy Maine potatoes. All right, there you go, Evelyn. Okay, and again, thanks to Dave Hunt, okay, for putting this together for me. And it was a fun show. All right, we're going to archive over at ace-ed.org. See what we do at seltoday.org. We'll put this podcast on that site as well. I'm Larry Jacobs. Thanks for listening. And you guys, take care. Enjoy your Maine potatoes.